I don't know.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the only podcast that likes its balls to be wet when they watch an NRL football match. Yes, this is the ET Stand Podcast, the Sharks fan podcast that lets its talking to the football. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we're available on audio on delay on Spotify, Apple Pods, and a whole bunch of other ones. And a shout out to our friends on the audio peeps. There's a whole bunch of you guys in the community there. So we want to see you guys commenting and letting us know who you think your 3-2-1s are, and let us know we're wrong, because we frequently are wrong, except me, because I'm typically more wrong than everyone else. Get your comments in and have your say on the subjects from tonight. Use the super chat function. We've had some good fun with the super chat function. You can interrupt us at any time for a couple of bucks, and we'll talk about any subject you want. And you can also have your say at the same time. One thing we don't need to vote on or have any conjecture on is you, Franko. You always get my vote, mate. You're just an absolute legend. So you're my man of the match for the weekend. And are you ready for Saturday night sitting next to me in the ET stand watching the Sharkies take on the Storm?
Mate, I am absolutely pumped for a home game there at Sharks Stadium. It is something that has been long overdue. Trips to Perth, trips to Vegas, trips to Queensland, back in the Shire, back at home. I don't care, rain, hail or shine, I'm going to be there, and I hope everyone else is too.
Well, that we are. Another guy who's going to be there is fresh from listening to every podcast that's not ours, is Williams. Matty, good to see you too. We're seeing you on Saturday night too, aren't we?
I am indeed. First home game of the year. I am pumped, fired up.
Fired up and ready to get at him. And Chris, good performance on the debrief, mate. And you are going to talk about wet balls later, aren't you?
Oh, it's my favourite subject to talk about all the time.
All right, wet balls. All right, a couple of comments, just housekeeping. We have got a Discord channel, which is in the link in the comments. If you would like to talk to like-minded Shark fans and also us during the week, you can do that, and also during the game. And Harley is through already with a very, very positive tip. Sharks winning 40-16, according to the great Harley, who was our tipping comp winner last season. So that may be a very good tip. All right, if you're new to the channel, give us a subscribe or a like. It keeps you up to date of all of our videos. I've called in Francis tomorrow. He's going to do an update for us on all of the Sharks' different injuries that we've got going on, so we can get a handle on when some of these players might come back. And then I've been on text with the guy from the Stormcast podcast. So he has volunteered himself for an opposition fan preview. And Chris, as you would know, he doesn't know what he's in for when it comes to salary cap cheating in Storm, does he? He does not know what's coming his way. But that should be good fun. If you haven't seen it, we did a good video with Ryan Hoffman, didn't we, Chris, in the off-season?
It was great. It was fantastic. I don't know if he turned us around as fanboys, but probably still not on the salary cap.
You fanboyed a little bit. I was still pretty tough on him. All right, before we get into the show tonight, a little bit of sad news and just something for us to reflect on. A good show, friend of the show, Hayley Turnbull, who watches regularly. Her mother sadly passed away this week. So our thoughts and love is with you to all of the Turnbulls. Hayley's been a friend of a few of us on this show for a very, very long time. I have met her mother quite a few times. She was an absolute legend. So our thoughts and prayers are with you, mate. And hopefully the Sharkies can get up for you on Saturday night and give you a bright spot on what's probably been a pretty shitty week. So much love to you, Turnbull. All right, but life goes on. Let's get into the show. We've got an Overreaction Tuesday where Maddie and I are going to just quickly fire through the key talking points from the debrief on Sunday night. There was a lot of them. And we're going to look at the Sharks news. Latz's conspicuous by his absence is still sick. So I'm going to do my best to impersonate him. We've got a pretty big, thorough Storm preview. So Chris is going to talk through how he thinks there might be some weaknesses in the Storm's game. I don't know if there are too many of those. That might be a quick segment. And I've asked Franko to fire us up to on what he thinks the Sharks might need to do to win. The only segment you need to see, the league roundup. Kelly's going to give us everything we need to know about all other NRL news that relates to the Sharks. It is time for the May installment of the player tiers. And then a new segment called Fun Fact that we took from the debrief on Sunday night. I'm going to give you my fun fact of the week. And if you have a fun fact, get it in the comments as well. And no, I'm not reading out the fun fact that was put in the notes. Chris Kelly, I'm not reading that out because that was ridiculous. Was that you?
It was the admin lady playing a prank. So
was it the admin lady? Well, look, if someone wants to super chat me, then I might read it out for $1. But I really, really do not want to read out that chat.
It's a great fun fact.
Franko also actually wrote to me and said, I think you shouldn't read out your fun fact. I'm like, it's not mine. So anyway, fun facts. Anyway, now Dean 180 in the comments asks us, have you guys heard Here Comes the Boom by Pod Lyric is Here Come the Boys from the South makes more sense than Here Comes the Boom by Nelly? Chris, you're nodding to that one. Can you give us a response on that?
Yeah, it was. I called for this song years and years ago as probably be our walkout song. So it's pretty loud. It's pretty raucous. Instead of one of the other regulars we got now, Motley Crue. It was a great song by POD. It's got boom and Here Comes the Boys from the South. So I always called for a walkout song for our team, but just never got on the line. So maybe we keep pumping it along. Maybe we sort of give it a bit of momentum. We might get it as a walkout song for the Sharks.
If only we knew someone who could just text Dino Mezzatesta and just say, hey, do this. If only we could just do that.
Bit of Dane
How
Wheeler
good is
action,
this?
Maybe.
Man, maybe some Wheeler action.
Only Dino Mezzatesta would listen to the person that sent him texts every second hour.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we know you watch the podcast, Dino. So shout out to you, Dino. Hope you're well. And then, Glenn Thompson's through in the comments saying, fun facts. All right, let's get on to the
Sharkcast has been talking literally for the last 5 years about, so we could trump them there if we were the ones that actually got the that song over the line, the one that we suggested.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Well, if Sharkcast suggested that song, Matty.
No, not at all. They've just been talking about it, saying they've got to change it, but there's been no firm recommendations what it could be. But if we did provide it, then
this is the difference. This is why you listen to our podcast, because all the other podcasts, they just present problems. But what we do, Matthew, we present solutions.
And thanks, Dean.
We give you
thanks,
outcomes.
Dean 180. That's a great call.
We're looking for things that we can actually go and do to make the game day experience better. All right, let's get into it. So our first segment is an Overreaction Tuesday. So the Sharks on Sunday defeated the Manly Sea Eagles 30 points to 14 in a times fiery clash. A bit came out of this one on the debrief, so I thought it would be good for us to just pull all of the reactions together and decide a few days later if these were overreactions or not. This segment is brought to you by Solve Accounting, our regular partner on the debrief, who Franko forgot to mention because I didn't remind him to. And that's why you need good accountants, because they don't forget stuff and they don't cost you money like me costing our sponsorship money by not mentioning Solve. So shout out to you, Phil, on Solve. And Franko, I'm going to send you a permanent reminder to remind you to mention our good friends at Solve, because it wasn't your fault, it was mine. All right, let's get into the overreaction or a correct statement. All right, Williams, Nico, is he back in good form?
Yes. Playing direct behind a forward pack that has performed the last 2 weeks, I would say yes.
Billy Burns, is he a first grader?
Absolutely. Yeah. Crafty.
Why?
Got a kick on him as well. A couple of kicks, actually. Doing really well on that left edge.
All right, a comment on YouTube said that Atco narrative is a stretch. He's fine
Not
in
a
the
stretch.
team how he is. Not a stretch. Coming in
The
hot.
conversation still needs to continue. We obviously performed very well with 4 forwards on the bench. The weekend with Trindle going to the HIA proved that, yes, Atco is there, but I still am pushing, taking Joel Kane's lead there from SEN, saying that we need 5 on the bench. And you can only use 4, and you can get activated if required.
Yeah, we had a build on that.
Sentiment.
So the fun thing is, if you have a replacement half on your bench who doesn't get activated, is that when they do eventually get activated, it's kind of the fun of the NFL when the backup quarterback's in. And so when I'm watching the NFL or not watching it, Chris frequently sends me a text message and says, oh, Mike White's in for the Jets. Or like, this person's in. So you can imagine that if you actually had backup halves on the bench and occasionally they got into the game, it'd be a little bit of fun, wouldn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it'd be like when we back in the day with Noddy and Preston. It caused a bit of ruckus in the crowd as well. So,
Oh, Preston's in.
Yeah, Preston's in. Sort of like Mike White, great example. Those poor backup QBs that are usually going to come on into victory formation. It's about as good as they get. So it's like the sports in NBA as well. A bit of we call garbage time, and the game's gone the last 5 minutes. They just empty the bench of the plebs. I'd like to see the same thing happen in the NRL, where we can just bring on a replacement 2 halves and sit Nico and Trindle down for a couple of minutes.
It keeps the contest alive too, as you said pre-show, Boldo. If Cleary's out, or even if we lose Nico first minute this week, it changes the entire complexity and complexion of the game, which may well see it be a blowout and the game be gone by halftime and everyone turns off. So if NRL's all about entertainment, aren't they? And eyes on TV screens, this is a must, given all the changes that have happened. Anyway, maybe it doesn't suit their greater narrative.
Next, Sharks can't kick a field goal to save themselves, Matthew.
Correct. The weekend showed again that they don't have game awareness or field goal setup awareness. Or maybe it was part of a grand plan. It was a deliberate decoy to then throw it. But yeah, getting within 10 and throwing the ball back, no. If you're going to do it earlier.
Stone Street and Ramian have a combination problem.
Not a problem, but it's something they need to continue working on. Ramian, I'd argue, how was his service to Katoa? He could feed it on a bit, but he has never really been known as a distributing center. So that's something to work on.
Franko, you had some commentaries on this during the debrief. A couple of days on, what's your take on that now? Just pause on that one a little bit.
Yeah, I would say Williams is correct that Ramian isn't known as a great ball distributor. However, he did have a better combination with Katoa in the sense that Katoa knew when to come inside Ramian, where I don't think I've seen Stone Street come inside. Ramian has that tendency to inch closer to the sideline. Katoa would know when to come in, whether he's expecting the ball to come back inside or get ready for a kick chase. And also, Ramian does have a little bit of a flick pass or a tap on, and Katoa was in a better position to be able to collect those. We sort of seem to see that Stone Street's either a bit too far forward or a bit too far back to take advantage of those off the cuff passes. So yeah, there is a bit more work needs required for that combination to work. But Williams is correct. Yeah, Ramian is not known as being a great draw and passer.
He's Phil Bailey. All right, Ronaldo Mulatalo is the Mitchell Moses for other teams, for us. Everyone hates him, but we love him. Matthew?
Absolutely not. This is a massive slander against Ronaldo. Yes, everyone may hate him, but I'm going to compare him maybe to a Jerome Luai, because Luai is kind of lauded for doing some good stuff off the field. Ronaldo does some amazing stuff off the field. I'm going to be controversial here and say that Moses maybe isn't as good a person as Ronaldo. He's on record as saying he's only ever changed one nap in his life. Mitch Moses, do better at life. Be a better human. Simple. People might like you. We won't back you with your referee. Carry on. But Ronaldo has done an enormous amount of charity work. He's an upstanding individual. I absolutely cannot say the same about Moses. And be that what it may, it's on the record just saying that Ronaldo, yes, he can be a lair, and he was maybe shushing the crowd a bit too early the other day. But we love him for it. And I think some segments of the NRL may have that ability to like it. Moses is just out and out dislikable, hateable.
But apparently Moses has a really good kicking game. I don't know if I've heard it enough the last 3 weeks, but apparently he's
an amazing kicking game. He's an upstanding sport, and he's such a good role model to the kiddies.
And he inspires such a great performance from his team. The Eels are just consistently a top 4 team.
And arguing the referee for minutes after full time against the Dolphins.
What about when he was arguing when he had the ball and we were ahead?
Exactly.
Yeah, Bullfed, thanks.
Yeah. The amount of times he's not played the whistle, and he's done that twice. He did it against us 2 weeks ago, and he did it again back 2 years ago when we were at Parramatta. Just runs out of the line and falls over, doesn't play the whistle. Anyway, I digress. Yes, Ronnie had some lair in him, and he probably needs to rein in a bit, but he obviously feeds off it. But he's a good human. Moses, leave the population to judge.
Oh, we've got a good comment here from Scotty McLaren's come through. Could the problem for Jesse, Ramian and Stone Street be that Stone Street is just too fast and he's overrunning the ball? That is possible. Uh,
Go and read the next bit.
and the second part of Scotty McLaren's comment here says, and Boldo, as my wife says, Moses is just a
Cat.
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 Yeah.
All right. Scotty McLaren, entertaining as always. All right. The last question for you, Matthew, is the Kennedy bubble. It might be about to burst. Latz is wrong. Don't sign him.
No, I don't know what bubble you're talking about here. What, because he had a dud game, or there's talk of him not being signed, or what's his bubble bursting? I thought he was good on the weekend. I thought he's safe on the high ball. So no, the bubble's not burst. He's doing the job required, and I think we need to try and find a way to sign him, given the fact that Ison and Dykes have both copped season-ending injuries. I think it must be done, and I know that this is going to really disappoint Williams 2.0 frequent commenter, but yeah, they need to find a way to keep him in Stone Street, and it's a real balance as to who you keep. I'd say Kennedy.
Fair enough. All right, and there's two more overreactions, Matthew, that you're going to throw at me.
There is. So, David, was it SJD or someone called you out on the third try
SJD
being buried for good now? Well, your response is what?
SJD, you've been on my team for weeks, and I'm so disappointed that you've switched teams here. Now, I'm just going to say the third try principle works 100% of the time, 75% of the time. And contrary to the opinion of you, it is not dead and buried, and it should always be in the back of your mind. Now, it is much about the third try as it is the scoring position. So if you had 12-0 and you can go ahead to 14-0, then that's essentially kind of the third try. So all it is about getting that buffer to that point early on in the games. And if you can press ahead by that sort of points, it can be very difficult to turn around that deficit. Not impossible, but it takes a major moment or something to get a team back in the game. And so we've seen it time and time again. When I analyze the numbers, the team that scores the third try wins 75% of the matches. Now, I even presented the third try to numerous NRL coaches in my time, including Shane Flanagan and Steve Price in Las Vegas. And Steve Price, Chris Kelly, he said, what was his response? He thought it was pretty good. He's like, yeah, you're right. It's pretty important. So I'm not saying it's like the be all and end all, but the most important thing is to obviously score more points than the other team, but scoring the third try can be an important psychological moment in a match for a team kicking away. Or if it's 6-6, it's kind of like the odd goal in soccer when you get 2-1 up, or it can be if you're 12-0 up and you get back to 12-6, you've got the ascendancy. It can be an important moment to get you back into the match. It is certainly not dead and buried by any means. It works. Matthew, next.
Similar to tennis, I suppose. I'm going to back you up here for a second, Boldo. They talk about, and I thought it was the most useless stat getting around, the amount of points won at Love 30. The amount of points at Love 30. And I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. But if you're on serve and you lose that point, you then go Love 40. If you win it, you get 15-30. I can see it. But at the end of the day, it's a principle, not a rule or a piece of precedence. It's a principle. And 2016 finals, the benchmark.
We lost all three. I think we didn't get the third try once, did we?
The third try in week 1 we got, and it was massive. And we got back to 12-6.
It was massive, wasn't it?
But then the prelim final against the Cowboys got the third try, and the grand final, the Storm got the third try. So 33% success ratio or 67%.
But it did get the Storm back in the match, though, that third try. If we score the third try in the grand final, we win.
It did. It just... Tomo there, very, very crucial third try. Making Boldo agreed.
Crucial.
Circumstantial. Anyway, moving on to the next one. So the Sharks should be pushing for the try when offered penalty goals more often. Discuss. So I'll rephrase.
No.
The Sharks should be pushing for the try when offered penalty goals more often. So you're backing this now? You're agreeing that we should be taking the tap and go?
You should not be going for penalty goals. No, we've been over this so many times, and this one is so obvious, and I've got a new build. So typically when you decide to take the penalty goal, it's about a 95% bet that you're going to get it, right? So you only ever typically taken the penalty goals from good position. So the ones from the sideline, I can understand why you wouldn't take those. And there was one the other day which we didn't take, and I thought we were too wide. I'm like, all right, that's fair enough. So the expected payoff from a penalty goal is 1.9 points because it's 95% of 2. So it's a 1.9 payoff is your expected points score. Okay. Now, if you're going for the try, it works about 1 in 6. So that's worth 0.6. Don't go Steiner-mathing on me, Chris Kelly. So if you go for a try, it's 1 in 6. That gives you a 0.66 percentage payoff. And Nico is kicking 73% of goals at the moment. Now, the try is typically a little bit wide. So that gives you 1.4 at best, but it's probably about 1.2. So therefore, the payoff from the penalty goal versus a try is 1.9 to a 1.2 difference. The numbers don't lie, Chris Kelly. Now, I'm going to give you something else. We have an enormous...
try.
Because the 2 points pushes you ahead. Now, here's an interesting point.
Yeah.
All right, if you're on 12 points and you can go to 14 points, then that's essentially the third try. If you're 10 to 12, I take it because it gets you 12. If it's 8 points to 10, I don't think you typically take it. Now, I'm going to give you another piece of information. We have an enormously emotionally fragile team. And so when they try something and it doesn't work, they frequently heads drop. They're like, oh, no, we've gone and done this. We've blown it. And we've gone for the try and we've failed. And I even saw it when we were down 12-8 in 1999 against the Dragons. And I remember thinking, oh, God, going to 12-10 here against the Dragons would really have closed the gap a little bit because then we're within a penalty goal. And the Sharks went for the try. Within 2 tackles, they dropped the ball and their heads dropped. And they're like, oh, we're bloody hopeless. So it's also solving for the fact that we have an emotionally fragile team. Now, I got something else for you, right? Is the human mind can only make 9 good decisions in a day. 9, right? 9 good decisions. So if we expect our players to make a good decision on taking the 2 or not every single time, that is taking away from their decisions. It's why Barack Obama wears a grey suit, then a blue suit, then a grey suit, then a blue suit. Now, I'm going to say to you that you and I all know that the Cronulla Sharks do not make good decisions when they are presented with another decision-making conundrum, which is whether to challenge or not, and they frequently get that one wrong. So I don't want to waste any good decisions on whether or not they should take the 2 because let's just let the coaches decide and just typically take the 2 because maybe that will increase our captain's challenge score because quite frankly, our captain's challenge score is terrible. And don't try and tell me that we've got 2 out of 2 recently in captain's challenge and we're a good captain's challenge team and we're on a streak because that'll put it to bed and it'll mean that Ronaldo's going to drop the ball on the 3rd tackle or wreak it out of bloody Cameron Munster and we're going to completely ruin it. And then finally, it's just a no-brainer. Just always take the damn 2 points.
There's a lot of Steiner math in there.
No, it's just obvious. Take the 2 points. It's so obvious.
What a lot of dribble.
No, it's obvious. It's 1.9 to 1.2.
Where
like
are
on
these
Wikipedia.
coming from?
Like on
This is
Wikipedia,
all
it says
numbers
coming from.
You've just
citation
made up
needed.
all these numbers.
No,
You
Nico,
tried to quasi-science this.
No, I
9
counted
good
the
decisions
I
a
did a whole
day?
season where I
No.
counted I did a whole season where I counted the number of times they take the 2 and get it.
Was
versus
this
the
back
number
in
of times they take the
1999 or what?
No, 3 seasons ago.
So wouldn't a try up those numbers because a try's worth 4 and a goal's worth 2?
No, because you don't get a try every time.
Just
It's an
putting
expected payoff.
Do you take into consideration the fatigue you put the team under for defending longer and more so that
No, because you actually get a rest and you get the ball back.
Yeah, because you get the
so
ball back 80 metres down the field. It's no good.
So does the defensive team, and so does there's a chance
You
lose it.
clearly.
Anyway.
Teams also frequently get a try after they take the 2 and they get 8 points because they get the ball back.
It's a lot more complex than binary. We've chatted about that, but the questions I have
It
posed
is
to
more
Boldo,
complex than binary, but they should take the 2 more often.
the 9 decisions in a day. We'll chat about that later. I'm not sure where that came from, but my question actually based on that is, okay, so we agree that there are times where it's pretty much a sure thing to take the 2. You're up by 6, or 12, and it's right in front. You take the 2. Cool, that's easy. That's an easy decision. Bang. That's like wearing your different color suit. Thank you, Barack Obama. There's the other times when you're 20, 30 points down and you need a try. So you take the tap. That's okay. That's a binary.
That's a no-brainer too.
So it's the ones in between. How many of them are a 50-50 call? And which way do we go? That's not that I'm a scientist, but that's maybe
You should take
strange.
the 2 because the Sharks,
Quasi-
we have the most
Girl
emotionally
maths
fragile
brain.
team, Matthew. They can't handle failure.
But then, see, I also
Well,
bring in the factor of torrential rain. When it's torrential rain and no one's getting anywhere and it's a trudge-out game and no one's doing nothing, taking the 2 is a premium.
Well, it
Apparently
also
I'm
can
frozen.
depend on the score of the game. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Scotty
A lot of-
McLeod,
a lot
what's
of
the ball on? What's the stats on dropping the ball on the restarting set? We tend to do that a lot. That's right, Will
Eye for the
Kennedy. We do.
Sharks.
All
Eye
right,
for the
look.
Sharks. That's why Luke Cavell missed a penalty goal back in 2007 against the Warriors
That was
deliberately.
That was brilliant. That was certainly brilliant. All right, well, look, we're never going to come to a conclusion on taking the 2 because Franko and I have been arguing about this for longer than we've been arguing about anything, I think. So let's just move on, shall we, Franko?
Agreed to disagree.
All right. What? So we aren't moving on?
We go. Let's get on. Let's keep going.
All right,
We'll be
we're
here
going
all
to keep
night.
going. All right, in other Sharks news. All right, so Lats, despite being sick, has still provided us with the Sharks news update. So we'll go through that now. Thanks to our friends at Morgan Cronulla for all of your stockbroking needs. As I add in the Lats social slide there, and I press that button to get the little obscene bit off the screen. Let's do my best Lats impersonation. All right. Sharks fans were thrilled over the weekend at the retention of the Steve Rogers Trophy for the second time this season that sees Matthew Williams rewriting his history right up for when the Sharks travel and face the Seagulls. So we've got a stronger record now. We really seem to have the wood over the Eagles of late, and that trophy is going to look at home in the cabinet for many reasons to come. This one means a lot to Sharks fans, and especially the ones lucky enough to see Sludge play in the flesh. There's a new YouTube clip, actually, that I saw that someone threw up on Steve Rogers talking about his retirement and announcing it. And so I went down that rabbit hole, and it's quite a long segment on a sports thing. He's quite disappointed to miss he got injured during 1985 and then worked out he was going to miss all of 1986 and just didn't think he could come back for 1987. And the not playing in his fourth Kangaroo tour was also a major disappointment for him. So if I can find that link, I'll actually put it in the description. On to the next. The junior reps. Our Jersey flag squad climbed in a second spot on the ladder this week with a convincing victory over rivals, the St. George Illawarra Dargans. Going into the break in front, 18 points to 12. The boys pulled away in the second half, going on to win 30 points to 18 with tries to Luan Vito, Samuel McCulloch, Felix Fatili, Preston Lane Siitu, who was also named Sharks Junior Rep Player of the Year during the week, Adrian Sandy and Riley Pollard slotting 5 from 5. The boys have got a bye this week and go on to play the 7th place Roosters at 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 24th of May at the Industry Group Stadium in Gosford. On to a bit of Jets watch. The Newtown Jets, well, they slumped to their second straight loss for the first time this season at the hands of the now placed second-placed Dragons and a 34-4 thumping in Tamworth over the weekend. The boys, well, they were 18-0 at halftime. They didn't get the third try, did they? And scored their only try in the 59th minute through interchange hooker Josh Crook. The boys now sit in outright 4th position and go on to play the 8th place Raiders at Henson Park at 3 p.m. this Saturday. On to the next. Will watch. Will Kennedy keeps his position atop the Daily M leaderboard on 29 points after another quality performance over the Eagles on the weekend. Sadly, Nico took a couple of points off him, though. Rival fullback Ryan Pappenhausen stormed onto the leaderboard this week on 20 points with his monstrous performance for the Storm in their complete shutout of the Tigers over the weekend, with 2 fullbacks going head-to-head this Saturday night at Shark Stadium. Will Kennedy's going to have to bring his A game. Whilst on the subject of Will Kennedy, there was an article put out in the media through the week stating that Will may be squeezed out of the Sharks. We are only sitting with $300,000 in cap space available for next year. And with Will and Stone Street both off contract, fans didn't really want to buy into the article, though, and believe Sharks may need to work their magic to somehow fit the boys in on possible back-ended contracts. Watch this space. Could be a contract controversy at the end of the year. Franko, you're our contracts guy. What's your take on that current predicament that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, I kind of don't really believe it, so to speak. I don't know. I haven't read the article. Dave Riccio does work for the Telegraph. He's pretty close to the Sharks, so maybe he has some kind of understanding there. But ultimately, look, players come off contract at the end of this year as well. So while there may or may not be only 300,000 today, by the time November 1st rolls around, certain players will be coming off contract, and then that money can be repurposed. But we've got more people that we need to sign than just Will and Stone Street. So being 300K seems a little bit skinny. I'm not going to pay so much credence into this one, but ultimately we have seen clubs do a bit of manoeuvring to, shuffle the deck chairs and get what you need. And I'll back Mooney every day of the week.
Was it written by Dave Riccio?
I have no idea. Haven't seen the article.
It was? Yeah, right.
No, I don't know.
When are we going to do that next contract video, Franko? We did that during the season last season, about this time?
We did 2. We did one mid-season last year and one around November 1st. So we can do it again if you want. Go through it, do a bit of a deep dive and have a look at it all.
Maybe we do that in the bye week.
The bye week.
All right, now, Cooper, this one's for you. Cooper on Instagram's says, ask Christopher for a cheeky wink, but I just gave him one myself. All right, on to the next. Don't know why I felt the need to wink at your bloody relative, Chris, but I just decided to do that. All right,
I'll
Nico.
give anyone a nice wink.
Well, I'm more of a head wobble guy, to be honest. Nico, well, look, we just talked about it just now, but fans across the socials are loving the confident eyes up footy they're seeing from, well, the sexiest man in rugby league, Nicho Hynes, of late. And they're also loving the positivity they're seeing from the media around him, with some fans even mentioning, oh, Chris, I'm going to remove you for a second. Even mentioning that Nico perhaps should make it into the state of origin. I would like to think that selfishly, Daly has maybe a couple of others ahead. Regardless, we love seeing Nico happy and bursting with confidence. It shows in its footy, which can only mean good things for the Sharks. I wonder how high Nico is going to climb on the player tiers this week. On to the next. Sharks fans were mirroring what we came up with. Not only the fans are loving what they're seeing from Billy Burns, but also Andrew Johns was singing his praises on the Channel 9 commentary on Sunday, stating that he's just an honest and reliable first-grade player. Fans across the socials want him to take Atkinson's bench position when Teague returns, stating he'll add that punch and energy we need from a utility player that we're not currently getting out of Atkinson. And given Acco's heading to the merge at season ends, the fans want Fitzy to look at other bench options and fade Atco out. Oh, it's a broken record by now, isn't it, Chris? The Atco bench thing, we just got to put up with it.
Yeah, just we thought we won the argument, but we didn't, and it's come up again. So we'll just see how it goes when players come back on deck.
All right. Okay, let's move on to our match preview, shall we? All right. Now, the Sharks welcome their 2016, as I try to find the, where's the thing there? Banners. No, comments. No, yeah. Where am I going here? Franko, can you help me find the damn colour thing and move that along whilst I do the match preview? The Sharks welcome their 2016 grand final opponents to Shark Stadium for a blockbuster Saturday night clash. It's 5th against 3rd. Cue some of those annoying Matt Nable bloody preview videos with a voiceover. I hate those things. Bloody annoying. This match preview is brought to you by Miranda Hotel. This game is a sellout. So if you haven't been able to get a ticket, then there's no better way to watch it than in the sports bar at Miranda Hotel. $7 schooners and $12 margs are on offer. And I hear this week their trivia is on White Lotus. So if you're a White Lotus fan, you can get down to Miranda Hotel. Let's head through the team list with Kelly before we ask Franko for his list of things the Sharks need to do to beat the Storm. Chris, give us the run through on the team.
I'll still do the run through, but easy as it is every week for my admin lady, it's pretty much the same team except for one change. We've got Will Kennedy, Stone Street, Ramian, Superman, Ero, and Big Ronnie Botello. Braden Trindle, Nicho Hynes, AFB, Blake Brayley, Kafusi, Nicara, Billy Kearns, you idiot, it's Billy Burns, and Captain Cam McGuinness at lock. Atkinson retains his 14 spot, much to the demise of Sharks fans, and Big Calhoun Talakai returns from his head knock, and Brendan Hamin-Uwere in coach Craig Fitzgibbon.
Now, the extended bench is interesting. We've got Papuru on the extended bench in jersey 18 this time. Do you buy much into the jersey numbers, Franko, with 18 being closer to 17? Or you think he's a chance of getting a look in, or is it just because that jersey fits better?
I do think there might be a bit of a change on the day. Some of our subscribers might have seen that there was a poll put up on our YouTube podcast channel, seeing if there was a change to be made on the bench, who would you like the change to benefit? I would say, look, probably Wilton into the starting side with Burns to the bench might be a bit of a goer. I doubt we see something like a debut for Hohepa, or a fourth big bopper in replacing Atkinson, because we've had the opportunity to do that in the past and Fitzy hasn't really taken advantage of it. My only concern is that, we talk about a big bench, and by putting someone like Hohepa or Burns on the bench there, we're not giving ourselves that big bench. Arguably, I think they'd have more impact than Atkinson though. So yeah, I'm still leaning to a change on the day. Jersey numbers, nah. It's just there is an element to be said where the closer you are to the 17, the more of a reward it is for how hard you've been training. So yep, cool, Vela, you're 18, but in this scenario,
Was
no, I
Vela
think
18? I thought Puru was 18.
No, I'm just an example as, someone who's training hard, who's on the cusp of making their debut, they get that number.
Maddie, I could see you were about to jump in, so I just thought I would be silent for a second and just let you go.
Yoff, I didn't want to cut you off. So I think when we beat them last year, we had 4 boppers on the bench. Was forced because Nico was out very late and Atkinson came in, and we had McInnes/Brayley, depending on which way you want to look at that, halves and spine combination. I think we need to go the same. You're right, it'd be great to see Ho-Hepper. Would it be Tukes? It would be better. Either of those, I think, would do, all being fit, a better job more effectively, I suppose, against Melbourne, given they still do have a robust, large forward pack.
All right, we've got starting to get our comments coming through here in terms of predictions. Scott Latino saying Sharks by 8. Hero, FTS is what, first try scorer? And then X-Define. Oh, X-Define's back. He's pretty entertaining. X-Define, yeah, the Sharkies boys. Was X-Define the Bulldogs guy?
Correct, yeah, Bulldogs fan. We've got a lot of Bulldogs fans. It's great.
Wow, we love the Bulldogs fans. They're just so happy in life, aren't they, the Bulldogs fans? Well, I guess we're the closest thing. We're the closest thing to a blue and white. We've got a little bit of black, so maybe that's why they like us. All right, let's quickly look at this this Melbourne Storms team. Chris, do you want to give us the run through on these guys?
Yeah, Melbourne Storms obviously coming off a massive win on the weekend over the West Tigers, so they go with the same 17. So they got Pappenhausen at fullback, Fa'alogo on the wing, Anderson and Meany in the centres, Coates on the opposite wing, Munster and Hughes in the halves, Urukamanu as the big number 8, Bronson Garlick, Josh King, who keeps scoring tries, as was pointed out in the debrief, Sean Bloor, Elise Katoa, Trent Liero, Tyrone Wishart, Alec McDonald, my favourite to sing, Kamakama Kamitha, and Joey Chan, Coach Craig Bellamy. Interesting enough, Big Nas played last weekend as a late call-up, and much to our scariness, Harry Grant is pushing to make a return in this game, and is named on the extended bench at jersey 20 or 21. I haven't got the extended in front of me, but he's on the extended bench pushing to get in there for Origin selection on the weekend.
Jeez, they got a good bunch of just elite level key spine players, don't they? Haps, Munster, Hughes, Harry Grant. It's probably much as good as it gets, really, isn't it? What about the rest of their team? What else? What are the rest of their team? Well, I can't say I'm enormously familiar with Grant Anderson, Chris.
Grant Anderson's a really handy player, great in the centre.
Of course you know who Grant Anderson is.
I know who everyone.
He's been around a while.
Storms. Yeah, he's been around a while. Nick Meany's obviously coming off of facial injuries.
Who the hell's Grant Anderson?
He's not one of the Andersons. Not one of Williams' favourite family, but he's obviously been in that Storm system for a while. So very handy centre. Doesn't mind a meat pie. Nick Meany, like I said, coming from facial injury, so he's still wearing some sort of weird headgear. They've also got Urukamanu from the West Tigers from last season. Bronson Garlick, son of the great Garlick from South, is the hooker there, replacing Harry Grant. But if Harry Grant comes in, Barney Rubble for us, and their second row is always non-stop. Wishart on the benches, their utility, their Atkinson sort of style. But he actually comes on and plays a bit of 9, if not a bit of half. So he actually provides a bit of cover when he comes on, instead of our guy just sort of running out there and playing a bit of a roaming role. So, they're quite capable. Like I said, they come off a massive victory on the weekend. So their tails are up and coming the Sharks.
64-0 over the Tigers. Goodness me. All right. Look, Franko, jumping back to the Sharkies, what do we need to do? I briefed you on this and coming up with an answer to what the Sharks need to do to win.
This is one of those ones where it's very, very simple. It's an attitude game, right? Melbourne Storm are one of those teams that can beat you before a ball is kicked. You got to come in with the mentality and the commitment to be saying, "Yep, we're gonna win this." Come in guns blazing, the old-fashioned ambush. You can't come in half intensity on this one. You got to be ready. They are big. They're big, strong. They're fast. So you got to be able to match that and be ready for it. Second, you can't give them a sniff. So your completion rate has to be high. You got to make sure you hang on to the ball, complete your sets, get the ball down the other end of the field. This is all very basic, easy stuff, and have your defense square ready to go. Because, as I said, if you're giving them a sniff, they'll take it. And then just you touched on it earlier. You got to watch their spine, right? They're very quality spine. They've all got trick plays. They've all got calls. So you've just got to watch their spine closely to make sure that you can try and get an idea of what the rest of the team is going to be forming around them. Ideally, I would like no Atco on the bench, as we touched on, because I would like to have some 4 big boppers to get us on the front foot and get us over that advantage line. With Atkinson there, I'd like to think that Talakai is going to be able to do that. Braden Hemingway's on the up. Obviously, we can trust Fanua Blake to do so. Just making sure we try and get over that advantage line to give our guys a bit of space. We know they like to spoil the party. They like to get their hand in the ruck. They like to slow it down. So whatever we can do to try and give our guys a bit more space will be beneficial to us.
Defiance come through saying AFB took it personal against Manly, need him to go crazy against the Storm as well. That's probably not wrong. And then SJD's coming through, Franco. You going to do that? You going to wear your Hejan PJs to the game?
I mean, maybe. I don't know if they're warm enough for Shark Park, but we can discuss things, SJD.
Fair enough. Matty Williams, give us the Sharks record and rundown against the Storm.
Well, unsurprisingly, it's terrible. Overall,
not Manly terrible, is it?
No, not Manly terrible. We played 47 times. We've won 17. They've won 30, including 8 points tally of us, 781 to their 1,086. For a fair period there, we tended to win every time. It was an Olympic year. So we beat them in 2008. Then we beat them in 2012. And then the next win we had against them was 2016. Thankfully, we've won a few more since then. At Shark Park, it's 17 matches, 9 wins to the good guys, 8 wins to the Storm. So we've got a slight ledger there. We haven't played them at Shark Park in a few years. Do you remember when the last time we did play them? You and I were there, Boldo. It was in the Fitzgibbon era, but it was a few years ago now. So do you recall?
I'm going to say we won.
Yeah.
I think I remember holding your son up in the air, singing Up Cronulla, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe, yeah. So it happened in 2022. He was 4, almost 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened.
Yeah, I came through and I picked you up from Surrey Hills. I think the deal for him was a Thursday night game. I said, okay, you've got daycare tomorrow. If you're going to go, you got to sleep in the car. So sleeps in the car on the way down there, all excited but asleep. I picked up
that's right. I remember. And that's
we parked near
Toyota,
really. Yeah, we did. We parked near the speed camera. It was a pretty small crowd for Thursday night. I think it was only 9,000.
That's right. I woke him up when I got in the car, didn't I?
Yeah, we were worried because there was news that Nico was out with COVID, and there was also talk about Munster being out. And there was like, as soon as we knew Nico was with Munster out, I think we knew Munster was out first. We're like, okay, we should win. Nico out, it's like, don't know what will happen here. And then lo and behold, we went out and won 28 points to 6. A few points of contention there. So the media were talking about them being without Munster, not us being without Nico. And then we had a halves pairing of Trindle, who hadn't played well all year. Trindle took it by the balls and just had a great game. He couldn't kick a goal, unfortunately, but he had a million tries. This Ramin got a hat trick. And we're up 28-0. Should have been maybe 36-0. Was it the Cheese got the sin bin for calling the referee a cheat? And should have been sent off, actually, but copped 3 weeks for that, and solitary confinement from Bellamy. Wasn't allowed to train with the main squad. But one final bit of controversy there was the Storm were down 28-0. A minute to go, they got a penalty right in front of our sticks. And what did they do? They took the tap. They didn't take the 2, and they scored. But anyway, that's a side point.
Should have taken the 2. Of course you remember that. Your ability to remember these bloody tips. Give us a tip, Matty.
Bit of research. It worries me because it kind of reminds me of the Penrith game last year where we came into Shark Park more confident. This time I'm more hopeful than confident. If we play well, I think we can take it to them and I think we can win. If we don't play well, we'll lose by 20 at least. That is if we don't play well. If we do, And Franco's right. The start is critical. If we start well, I think we could win by 6. If we don't, it could be floodgates the other way. So I'm going to say Sharks by 6.
Get your tips in the comments, everybody. Can the Sharkies beat the Storms? Chris?
Yeah.
What's
Can they
your
beat
tip?
the Storm? Yeah, I agree with Franko. It's how you play against the Storm. I think if we drag them down to the 2016 style and just sort of ragdoll them around, we can get to it. You got to remember, on the back of winning 64-0 the week before, they absolutely blew it against Canberra in a Golden Point thriller up there at Magic Round. The key to that was the Canberra forwards absolutely took it to the Storm players, who lost their cool and gave away multiple penalties with the ball. So if AFB starts playing those mind games and maybe pushes that white line fever just enough that he doesn't tip it over, but the Storms do, then we can get away with a victory. But then again, we all expected the Storms to come out and beat them 64-0, or not that sort of score, but at least flog the Tigers down there in Melbourne, because they would have got absolutely hammered during the week by Craig Bellamy, throwing away a game against Ricky's Raiders up there in Magic Round. So I'm going to go Sharks by not a field goal, but by a 2.
Franko, you're typically a voice of reason. What's the
Can
score?
they win? Yes, they can.
Will they win?
win? I don't think they will. Look, I think it's going to be a close match. I think we are probably going to have our hearts broken in the last sort of 5 minutes kind of scenario. I think it's probably going to be. Here's the thing. We've been on the road for 6 weeks now. We've been doing our darndest to get the wins on the board, to travel, keep that focus, keep that morale up. Finally coming home is like a release on a pressure valve. And I think that's going to be one of those things where the team will sort of maybe take that for a little bit more than what they should. And it'll be just a bit of, oh, we're home finally. You know, you get home after all that travel, you put your bags down, you sit down, you relax a little bit. There could be an element of that in this game. And I think we're not going to get that start that we want. They're going to get the jump on us, and we're going to have to fight back in. I think we will, and we might even get the lead at some stage, but I just don't think we're going to maintain it for the whole match. So I think, we're probably down by 4 points.
All right, Scotty McLaren is in the comments saying if we could stop the offloads, we win by 20. My tip, I reckon the Sharks are going to win. I reckon we're going to win, and we're going to have a scare at the last minute, and I'm going to say something like, surely we won't lose from here, and a whole bunch of people are going to get annoyed with me, but I reckon we're going to win. I just think we've got the team that can beat the Storm. I think the rest of their team, other than their spine's not that good, and we've got quality players all over the park. We've got like Ronaldo Mulatalo, and we've got Superman KL and Blake Brayley and Billy Burns. Even Cam McInnes is in pretty good form. I reckon we're in pretty good nick. Coming back home, I'm on the Sharks. Let's go. All right, that was the preview. And if you are watching this on delayed, please do get your tips in as well. Let us know what you think. And you can also get involved in the tipping comp on the Discord channel. Let us know what you think your tip is there as well. All righty, let's go to Chris Kelly and Around the League. All right. Hold on, I've got an intro for you, Chris. I even wrote this up. I actually wrote you up a thorough intro. I said, it's now time for the only segment in all of NRL media that Sharks fans should bother listening to that gives them the quick fire update on what you might want to know about all of the other teams. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce 2025 Around the League with the real Chris Kelly. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, on the back of Boldo's argument about the third try principle, you can see Newcastle started 20-0, the Broncos started 14-0, and the Canberra Raiders started 20-0. They then wanted to absolutely collapse and lose these leads after scoring the third try and losing these games. So the Gold Coast came out and beat the Newcastle Knights, who didn't score another point for the rest of the match. Same with the Broncos, with Latrell saving a try and keep booming an absolutely massive 48-metre field goal. He then scored a try right at the end, which would have made Boldo proud because he pretended to take a knee. The Broncos
that was cheating.
And he dived.
That was cheating.
He dived over the try line. Canberra, Ricky was dancing on the sideline at 20-0, cheering, how good's this? And Canterbury came out and scored 32 unanswered points. So all those principles that Boldo ranted and raved on about 5 minutes ago, out the back door. So there we go. On the back of those scores, the Storms through the third try principle, going on to beat the Tigers 64-0 with Craig Bellamy still not looking happy. But in an interesting bit of trivia, Ryan Papenhuyzen scored 36 points. He actually outscored 16 other NRL teams on the weekend with his own total. So no other team scored more than 36. Only Ryan Papenhuyzen did. So there's Harry Grant showing a bit of cheek to Craig Bellamy to try and get him to smile, which he did not for our audio viewers. So, yeah, it was a massive score. It was great. On the back of Canberra's collapse, one Jamin Salmon scored a try in the second half against Ricky's Raiders. He pointed to his jersey, looked for the camera, and he uttered the words "weak gutted dog," which is one of our favourite phrases in regards to Jamin Salmon and the Bulldogs. Ricky was asked for his reaction. You can see his reaction to the press conference. He pretty much said, "Let it go." Even though there's a viral video going around from Magic Round where someone yelled out to Ricky, "Hey, Ricky, Salmon's a weak gutted dog," and he looked up and laughed and nodded. So this feud seems to continue, but poor old Jamin Salmon has copped a bit of a leg injury and is out for about 10 weeks now. So fans on social media are a bit divided who won that matchup, but obviously Salmon coming home with a try and getting a massive victory down in Canberra showed otherwise. On the back of third try principles and massive scores, we had our first draw of the season where Penrith and the Cowboys didn't set up properly for field goals at any stage, spraying them left, right, and centre, including, like the Sharks, including Penrith actually running it on the last where Cleary was set up for a field goal. The team decided otherwise. Mitch Kenny went out from dummy half and went on, and you can see my reaction there at 30-all. I can't believe we actually had a draw. So strange to get our first draw. He does
look like you, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, I was blowing up. You can tell. Look, it was awful. It was a strange
angry
game.
Man.
In that game, the most interesting thing to come out of that game wasn't the scoreline, was one blue shirt trainer and Shane Elford for the Penrith Panthers caught on camera spraying the ball. Now, this was found after the match, but interestingly enough, the Cowboys blue shirt trainer was also caught mid-match by the referee squirting the ball, and the referee said, no, we're not going to have that. Took the ball off him, kicked it to the sideline, and asked for a fresh football. So shenanigans were going on. I saw a lot of ex-players podcasts, including from Chad Townsend to Willie Mason to Fox to Sunday Footy Show, talking about shenanigans going on where people roll it in the mud to this is a common thing, this is what goes on in sport. But this really rears its ugly head where I talked to Franko and also in the last two debriefs about blue shirt trainers being on the field. I don't understand it because, as Matty can attest with his young fella playing football now, and I think it's about the under sevens, the coach is no longer allowed on the field to coach the players. They're onto their own. I don't understand why in a professional league, and no other sport does it, where a trainer is out there on a field coaching a team and getting within the 20-metre red zone, but must leave the field by the fifth tackle. It drives me insane. We've seen in the Roosters 2019 grand final where a trainer was hit by a football and they had to restart the play and the fans went absolutely bananas and nothing has happened now. You see up to 2 trainers at a time now out there giving instructions and water. They're not attending to injuries. They're just out there absolutely just, coaching. So, Boldo, thoughts? Because I know in tennis they've changed the coaching rules in regards to coaches on the sidelines, but there's no other sport where a trainer's on the field helping out.
I'll give you a quick summary on the tennis rules. The reason why they didn't have coaches in tennis is because the top 50, 100 players can afford coaches, and the players that are outside that can't. And so actually it's a form of discrimination and rewarding the affluence by letting the top players have coaches. So I actually don't agree with that rule at all. As for this, I don't like the way the rugby league players, but, Matty Johns was going on about how they used to do stuff, put Vaseline on balls, and it's just like cheating. It is just out and out, just dastardly, not cool stuff, guys. And I don't think it's funny or anything at all. And I wouldn't like it.
You could call it Watergate, but you obviously can't use Watergate.
Nah, it's funny cheating.
It's very much like Deflategate, isn't it? It's very much.
Yeah, you can't go doing that sort of stuff because you're just giving your guys an unfair advantage. Franko?
Yeah, so Cowboys have short memories, I guess. I think a few Sharks fans will remember a very fun match where we were down by quite a lot of points and then made a comeback to take it a match against Cowboys to Golden Point. What year was that game, Matty?
Which one? There's a few.
I think it's the 2013 one with Chris Heinington, wasn't it? Or 2014?
Was it the one that we won, which was 2010 with the
2010?
Shocking...
There it is, buddy. 2010. So we
Ron
got
Morris
to the
goal.
got to Golden Point. Jonathan Thurston getting ready to kick off, douses the ball in water. Sharks fans go ballistic about how can he do that? That's not fair. Look, let's ignore the fact that booting the ball 50 meters probably shakes all the water off it anyway. But the irony in this scenario was after our set, we kick it back to them and their winger drops the ball in the corner, giving us a perfect opportunity to take the field goal, which we missed.
Who was that winger?
I think it was John. I think it was John Williams.
Correct. We signed him just after that game. And everyone's like, why did we sign that guy? He dropped the ball.
There you go.
Because he fit right in with John Williams and bloody Jack Williams, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a few shenanigans going on there with
just bloody cheating. Sharks, don't do it. Don't cheat.
Front. But yeah, no. Look, it's been going on for a while. I don't like it, but what I don't like more is the hypocrisy from the teams calling it out and going, "Oh, that's not fair." It's like, come on, you're all doing it, or you're at least all aware of it. This is either a nothing story, or as CK has alluded to, it should be a discussion about the trainers and what they're able to do on the field.
Well, they should be just attending. They should be just attending to injured players or HIAs. I don't understand why they're out there in the back line being a 14th man and coaching plays. Like it's Alan Langer, and that's where it started from. It started from there.
Yeah,
and every single team, including us, every single team has an ex-player who goes out there and not relays messages, goes through the set with them. Where Boldo said those 9 decisions the brain makes during a day, there's out there adding another 9 decision making out there. Like it doesn't make sense. It's just time to get rid of them. And Sharks premiership winning halfback Chad Towns on his podcast agreed, because I made a little comment on his, the one saying agreed they should be gone. I don't understand why they're out there, but it's infuriating. Time to ban.
And the Sharks have Daniel Holdsworth and the Broncos.
The Tigers now got Chris. They've got Chris Heinington now. Like it's
I'd take Holdsworth over Heinington.
Yeah.
Sorry, Franko. I thought you might have been alluding to the other game that we played against the Cowboys, which we took to extra time, which was Daniel Holdsworth in 2014 kicking a 45-meter field goal for us, which is, I think, in my memory.
And that was the one with the Heinington kickoff thing,
excellent.
where that was the one with the Heinington kickoff thing, wasn't it, Matty? Where the ball's rolling along and the other team doesn't pick it up, but Heinington knows that he can pick it up. So the other team doesn't pick it up, and they're sitting there, and then suddenly just like rolls over, and Heinington quickly picks it up. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Rolls over and gets it. Yeah, that was from the short restart to then get the ball back to then kick the field goal to go to extra time, and then unfortunately we lost that one. But yeah, that was smart play.
And last point, just on that 2010 match, is that I remember Franko was watching that one, and we get the penalty in Golden Point 10 meters out right in front, and Franko's like, "Go for the try." All right, on to the next.
In other news, obviously, my favourite time of the year is Stadium of Origin. Teams will be named on Sunday night after the matches, with players heading towards trying to get selection for New South Wales and Queensland. There's a few positions up for grabs. And other exciting news for our Bulldogs fans who listen in, and sometimes Dragons fans. It seems that you guys are packing your bags for Vegas next year, which will be announced tomorrow, the teams. The front runners at this stage are Newcastle, North Queensland, Dragons, and Broncos. So I think the Eels are in the mix as well. But
Broncos again?
Did I say Broncos? No, I said Cowboys.
Yeah. Oh, Cowboys.
No, Newcastle, Cowboys, Newcastle, Cowboys, Eels. But it's definitely the two front runners are Dragons and the Bulldogs. So fans, start saving your pennies, because I know from going over there, and as Boldo knows, it ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap. Look forward to those $220 round of drinks for the two of you guys. Enjoy that. Enjoy that while it lasts. All right, let's get into the next segment, which is going to change the view and change us to that. Franko, are you going to give me an intro or something?
Oh, all right.
That's
here we go.
right.
I guess.
That's right.
And now it's time for the most impressive, the most outstanding, the most remarkable, the most exceptional, phenomenal, extraordinary, astonishing, the most legendary tiered ranking of the Cronulla Sharks ever. Even if Boldo gave me all these words and asked me to use them in a sentence, it is the masterpiece known as Boldo's Tiers, where Boldo ranks the Shark squad, not based on dollar value, not based on looks, but based on the direction the wind blows and how Boldo and his inner circle was feeling that day.
That's right, Stephen. This is not the salary cap. It is the top players for the Sharks right now, based on a criteria of, well, what are we getting out of them? Based on their salary cap, their position, what are the fans feeling? And also the inner circle and the collective of legends that go through this with me. So let's go through the Sharks player tiers right now. All right, not evaluated. So the injured guys and those red dots, that's a new development because that means that they've gone backwards. So not evaluated. I just put these guys at the bottom. Rudolph, Dykes, Talakai, Wilton, and Katoa. Thought these guys were injured. So they've all gone backwards. The Heartbreak Kid, Daniel Atkinson. Well, he sits at the bottom of the tiers and continues to break our hearts. I was almost going to call him the heel turn because he's gone from being one of the absolute fan favourites of the Sharks fans to the absolute most maligned player, and I'll get him out of the team. I'm sure he'd be popular if he played for the Jets. Dan Atkinson sits at the bottom of the tiers. We're not getting much out of you at the moment. On to the next. Social pressure. So Tukes and Peru have made it into the tiers. So they weren't getting into it as much, so they've gone up. So I hope Peru has made his way into the tiers because a lot of people have been talking about him. So not one that I would have included, but I do listen to the committee and I do listen to the recommendations, and I've put Peru into the tiers. They're in there. On to the next. Out of form, but these guys, they have some moments. So I think I was a bit Jesse Ramian was perhaps rated too highly on the last set of tiers, so he certainly moved backwards. Kafusi seems to be out of form, but still has a couple of moments. Trindle, maybe a bit tough on him, but when you look at the players above him, in terms of what we might have expected from Trindle, I think you might understand why he's gone backwards and is on one of the lower tier grades. All right, next, more please. So Tom and Braden Hamlin-Ueli giving us a little bit at the moment, but I'm wanting more from them. So a little bit of some good starts. BHU's come back from injury, wanting a bit more from you guys. Let's see what you can do, but you're trending upwards, and that's what I like to see. On to the next. Are they first graders now? So Marween Narodi, Stone Street, Jesse Colhoun, Billy Burns, all doing for us first grade-like play, but not what you'd expect from our fringe players. And so in terms of sticking with the thinking of the tiers, these guys, they're certainly giving us a lot of value way above their pay grade and what we might expect from players who you might expect to be regulars in the Newtown Jets. So well done, fellas, and you're a big part of some of the good form that sees us into fifth place. On to the next. So bright spots, Ronaldo and Braille. So Ronaldo Mulatalo's moved up, as has Blake Brayley. So good work for you guys, but not quite at the top of the tiers that you might have been. Ronaldo previously has held the top spot. Brayley's been close to top in the past as well. Now, on to the next. Can you believe it? Credit where credit is due. I've moved Captain Cam up to significant improvement on the tiers. Class, play the ball speeds, good decision-making, and some just good maturity sees Captain Cam and sees 1D Boldo and relent to a little bit of pressure. Captain Cam, I always believed in you, so I'm moving you up the top. I can't see you getting much higher than that, but good luck to you, Captain Cam. You've moved up the list. On to the next. Our key guys. So Britton Nakora, AFB, and KL Iro has made a major mover up on the list. So AFB and Nakora previously held the top 1 and 2 spots. So they're still our key guys. So being third on the tiers is no blight on your reputation or anything by them. So maybe it's more an indication of what you're unlocking for the rest of the team. But really the story is, I just think KL Iro What an absolute brilliant return. And we've seen, since he's been back, we haven't looked like losing. And I think he's an absolutely critical player in our team. And why the rest of you guys thought the Talakai should be a centre. I said all along that Hero was our key guy and should have come straight into the team. So, Kale Hero, welcome to third spot on the tiers. Up to number 2. Nico, improving. Good for you, Nico Hines. I was almost top, fellas. He was almost top. He's been in terrific form. He got the big points on the Daily M's this week. He was really good last week. Nico starting his form. He's over those injuries. Nico Hines, I believe in you. You're not quite Origin, but you're going to have a great Origin period, and you're going to set up the Sharks for a run towards the final series. And, of course, sitting atop the tiers, unsigned and unstoppable, Will Kennedy sits atop of Boldo's player tiers for the Sharks right now. The undeniable last champ, as the John Cena shirt says. Hustle, loyalty, and respect as I get in the middle. You're the last champ, Will Kennedy. You are top of the tiers. Congratulations. I know this is a career highlight for you. This might put it over the edge and get Mooney and Dino Mezzatesta to sign you. That is the player tiers for May. Fellas, what do you think? Franko, we'll get you to start. Who should have moved up? Who should have moved down? Do you agree with the tiers? Is there a reason I can't hear you?
This is a good one, Boldo. This is better than
so you just automatically muted yourself because you like it.
I like it. I liked it. Look, I think you've done a really good job here, buddy. Ignoring the titles that you've given each of them, I might want to move Burns up a peg, and also Brails a peg up as well. I think they deserve a little bit more recognition, depending on the breadth of how many weeks you're basing this off. If it's just the last 2 weeks, I think Brails has been really good. If it's a bit longer than that, then yeah, well, maybe it's a bit more fuzzy.
The 8th, 7th, and 8th best player, Brayley. Franko, who's he better than?
Yeah. Well, no, not better than. Just knock him up so he's in that credit where credit due column is. That you've got multiples per line, so he just shares that with Cam instead of sharing the bright spots with Molitalo. Bump Brails up, bump Billy Burns up, and I think you've pretty much got it right.
No one goes down?
I can't really think of anyone that,
you guys
that goes
don't
down
like
there.
putting players down, do you?
Hero is surprisingly high for me. Like I said, it's only been 2 games since he's back, so it depends on what your spectrum is for this ranking. He has come back with a bang, which is really good to see. His defense has been out of sight. He's really good. But yeah, if you're making me push one down, I'd be pushing him down, but only because I don't think he's got enough minutes on the field to accurately gauge him against the rest of his peers.
Matty?
I mostly pretty much all agree, which, like Franko, it's crazy. I'm not quite sure about the not evaluated. I know it's a spelling error, evaluated.
It is, isn't it? Not evaluated.
Might be some kind
not
of
evaluated
vernacular. I was looking to see Jack Williams or someone else pop up there too, but no, you've done your research and made sure you got rid of the players that have since left the club. And I think I've actually liked what
that was Oregon's at the end of the season, Matty. So I was still counting him as the most recent players.
Who was it last year that you included that had since gone?
What was that?
Ikavalu.
Matt Ikavalu, who'd left several years ago, but he was still.
Yeah, but he was on the bottom tier, so it didn't matter.
He was on the website. He was on the website, but still, it was bizarre given he'd left a while ago. But looking at that, I do like what Kafusi's been doing, especially off the bench the last few weeks. So I would probably put him up a bit more and say more, please. I would have put him in the out of form, but had moments maybe 2 weeks ago. The last 2 weeks he has been good, and I maybe wouldn't say that BHU is out of form, but I would say that he's not quite more pleased yet. There's been some good carries, but still we want him to keep up what he's doing. So I may agree with that. You're right. Iro is very high, but he has been performing. I agree that we're gone. Rami and Trindle have been a bit out of sorts, but seemed a bit better in parts on the weekend. And maybe Stone Street, maybe I would say, And I know 2.0 and other Stone Street fans, probably Dan from Fins Up, would be saying, give him a chance. I'm giving him all the chances in the world, but I think that there's been a few touches from him lately that have shown that he's got a lot more development to do, which is fine for where he is. He's definitely a first grader, but maybe a few rungs down.
Get your comments in, guys. Do you agree with my ranking of the Sharks players, top to bottom? Are these our key guys right now? Chris, give us final round out on the tiers.
Yeah, spot on, but I think very harsh on Trindle, and I put Big Toby down in the not evaluated because he just keeps coming into the team injured, and he's going to be out for a bit of a stint now with an AC joint injury. So I'd slide Big Toby straight down to the bottom, and pretty harsh on Trindle. I think 2.0 got in your ear, but just because he's not kicking 40-20s every single week, he has been kicking the last couple of weeks. So
Big Toby or Big Tom? Big Tom would probably get in.
Big Tom. Sorry, Big Tom. Yeah, Big Tom.
Well, yeah, because he's out for a while now. I guess, next month he's probably going to be out of it, isn't he?
Yeah, down the bottom.
So SJD in the comments saying SJD improving is an understatement. Yeah, I just think he has improved, though, SJD, from where he was at the start of the season at the end of last in terms of his injury. So and when I say improving, we're wanting Nico to be one of the top 3 players in the NRL. And so when he's the 15th best player in the NRL, then he's getting towards, when he's in the top 10, then he's improving. Like there's margins of Nico's improvement, and I think he's getting better, and I'm supporting him. So, no, I think he's looking pretty good. Nico has never been top of the player tiers since we've been doing this. Never been top. So he was the closest to getting to the top this time, and Will Kennedy has been in blistering form. So it was going to be pretty tough for Kennedy not to be top this time. So I should keep a track of who's been top of the tiers over the years. Then Scotty McLaren comes through. Tricky kicks 240-20s this weekend. He's back in form. Well, that certainly would help, Scotty. But it's not just what it's all about. There's a few other things going on there too. All right, that was
Tricky. Just on Tricky, great 40-20 game changer in the Parramatta game, and almost did against Manly the other day. Take a kick on the third when we're on the back foot and almost got it, just didn't get the bounce. But unfortunately for Tricky, with the next level that he needs to step up with his game is he's got key errors in him. The other night where he dropped the ball, and it wasn't his fault that 1,000 players held off Olakuatu when you put the kick in, and they went down the other end of the field to score a pretty miraculous try. But it was that drop ball, which was, I don't think there was any issue with the pass there. He just got that odd key moment, unforced error in him that's holding him back, I think, and that's why he's getting a bit of attention as being a bit down on form.
And it did lead to the third try for Manly as well.
Ooh, yeah.
Third try, Manly must have won.
Oh, I turned it off.
All right, on fiery tonight, boys. All right, well, that was Boldo's player tiers. Get it in the comments. Do you agree with me or not? You think I'm an idiot? A bit goes into this, so it's always fun doing the player tiers. All right, we will switch to now a new segment that we have, and I'll switch to a segment that came out of the debrief the other night. Was fun facts. So we had one of our listeners let us know that his cousin was hot in 1980 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the comment was. So a few different fun facts have been put in. What we do is, guys, letting you in behind the curtain, because I put together a run sheet of things that we're going to talk about. And I said, we'll do fun facts. And then someone has just gone in and typed in their own fun facts. So I'm not going to read out the fun fact. So I'm volunteering my fun fact for the week. My fun fact for the week is that one of my brothers was invited to a birthday party at Elle McPherson's house and didn't go. Is my fun fact. Dumbass.
Terrible.
So, what an idiot. So anyway, each week one of us will come up with a fun fact. If you've got a fun fact, get it into the comment section. Yes, Chris?
You mean Peter Gow?
Peter Gow. I was going to jump on the back of that, but it's a great bit of trivia for Boldo. The fun fact that I went to Matt Bowman's house down at Woolaware down there, who lived 2 doors down from Mr. Gow, and got to see Elle McPherson sunbake when I was about 12, and it was world changing. So
I'm sure you'll love that.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, lucky you.
No way.
Good on Elle McPherson. Anyway, all right. Yep. All right. Now, and other than that, stuff that we might have missed There are a few comments here that I didn't get to that I'm going to answer. Sharkcast apparently make the song "I Won't Back Down." I think that one goes too slow to bring the team out to that one.
This is a big Springsteen.
That was
fan.
last. That
I
was
agree.
Toby. That was Toby's little post-game song because they had Pump It
Yeah.
Up before, then they went into I Won't Back Down last season, but they haven't had a post-up Cronulla song in the dressing rooms because Toby hasn't been around. So I don't know if he's got a theme going for this season yet.
Yeah, right. Maybe it should be. I don't know. All right. Chris Glazer's just said, "Come through, Boldo's on fire tonight." That was in reference to me getting fired up about the taking the points. Dean 180 asked us a question. Do you boys think it's important to be from Cronulla to be a Sharky fan? I'm born and raised in Tiger Town in Ryde.
Not at all important.
Not at all important. We'll take them all. But
You can
I
be
will
from
say,
Mars and be a Shark fan.
I will say, if you live in the Shire, the Sharks should be at least your second favourite team. You can't.
No.
You can't. Yeah.
If you live in the Shire, the Sharks should be your team.
Well, look, I was going to say that, but I can understand if you've been supporting a team your whole life and you move somewhere, you've still got that soft spot.
Yeah.
Second team, you should support your local team unless they're playing the team you grew up supporting. But you should still support them. Maybe buy a membership of some description. But if you live in the Shire, you gotta be part of the community, the roots of what makes that community successful, and be a Sharks fan. You love
Agreed.
the Shire.
I
should
haven't
love
lived
the
in the Shire
Sharks.
since 2009, but yeah, if you move to the Shire, obviously it's a lovely place to live, and you hate or poo-poo or denigrate the Sharks, you should have your, I suppose, Shire residency terminated.
Those Shire
Simple as
residents
that.
that
Get
hate
out.
the Sharks, you can F off. And you know
Exactly.
I'm talking to you. You know the one that I'm talking to. I'm going to clip
knows
this up
them
and I'm
all.
going to send it to you. I think all of you piss off. If you're not going to support the Sharks, at least be positive. Because here's the thing. I moved to Neutral Bay. What did I do? I immediately became a member of North Sydney Football Club. And they are my number 2 team.
I was just going to say I forgot to put it in the round of the league about the North Sydney. Well, now it's going to be the Perth Bears announced to be the next team in 2027. But all those North Sydney fans are now going to become Perth fans. So there it shows that you don't have to be from that area.
And it's also worth reminding everyone that when Super League was about to occur, Peter Gow and the Sharks removed Cronulla Sutherland from the name so that, we did the Dolphins before the Dolphins did the Dolphins. We were just the Sharks, and that was to attract fans from everywhere, but also a little bit of shenanigans to stop people from merging, because if we had to merge, they would have to take the Sharks moniker.
Well, the great moves, Peter Gow.
The Bulldogs did the same thing.
No, they did Sydney Bulldogs. We just were Sharks.
They were the Sydney Bulldogs that became the Bulldogs, and it was the Sydney Tigers from Balmain.
Yeah, well, we did it first. All right. I wasn't going to respond to this, but I thought, bugger you, Nulla boy. Who's Grant Anderson? You're a knob, Boldo. I'll say this to you, Nulla boy. If you think you're the first person to call me a knob in the comment section of this podcast, you are greatly mistaken. It is certainly a weekly occurrence, Nulla boy. And I want to see you in the link and jump it into the debrief on Sunday, Nulla boy, and we can talk about how good Grant Anderson was. Still don't know who that guy is.
Nulla boy,
Nulla
boy. We do the podcast with him, and we call him a knob as well. So you're not the first.
And to defend Boldo, like he always says, he just watches Sharks games, so that's where he gets educated in the rest of the team list.
And that's why I have you guys for the rest of this
That's
stuff.
why
Bugger that. I'm not going to watch the rest of this stuff. This is just, why would I watch the Melbourne Storm? I hate those guys.
Storms.
Melbourne Storms. All right.
It's a new Saturday.
Mike Knight came in late asking, what did I miss? Mike, probably not much.
A lot of Bumblebee tuna.
Craig Gearon's asking NM, never mind. Who knows? Other than that, and then Mike Knight's written a whole bunch of comments here that we just didn't respond to. The Stone is first for sure. Nico has 3 against the Seagulls. I didn't see any of that stuff. And then Sean, 1967, has said, I don't think Tricky is out of form. Maybe letting Nico run things and call the shots. And lastly, SJD, we did explain the dots. The dots meant red meant you've gone down. Yellow means you've stayed on the same tier. And green means you were on the up in the tiers. All right, that was a fun episode of the ET Stand podcast. We went well over time.
It's one more fun fact. Scotty
There's
McLaren,
lots
great
of fun
call.
facts.
Sharks
here we go.
played
Sorry, I
Manly
didn't
and
scroll down. Here we
Storm
go.
consecutive weeks in 08, and yes, we did win to open the season there. So hopefully an omen. I love a good omen or showman. Great call there.
Yeah, that one was a good one. All right, let's go through the rest of these. SJD, fun fact sort of rhymes with shark attack. It's not bad. Mike
that's
Knight,
all.
SJD has been drinking. Delmo's fun fact, I was born in Rome, Jew fan and Shark fan up. Delmo, that
Yes.
makes sense. What are you going to do when Nottingham Forest knock you out of the Champions League next season? Delmo,
Juve,
Clay and Locke has
Juve.
come through. Hey, I'm a Sharks fan from Tiger Town, born and bred in 5 Dock for 18 years and lived in West my whole life. You legend.
Maybe we'll need to do an episode and just see where everyone's from, because obviously myself and Kelly
Where
and
are you
you,
from?
Boldo, have lived outside of the Shireland, and Franko has for a while himself. So we're all
Franko
from
hasn't bloody across the bridge since bloody 2016.
Oh, he's gone
have you,
south. He's
Franko?
gone to the States.
Mate,
Lassie's
my
never lived
stint,
out of the Shire.
yeah, my stint living outside of Australia is what solidified my appreciation of the Sharks.
Yeah.
All right, and then Quay and Locke, we know West resident love the Sharks. And then lastly, B and Bain, who has just come across the channel. What do you think the Sharks can do to overcome their finals hoodoo? As a Bronx fan, I'm concerned that the Porch Lights can't handle it again. Well, hold on, what's the finals hoodoo? What are you talking about? We won the match last
The
season.
last couple of years.
2016. We won last year.
No, we won in
Broncos have
2016.
won
There have been 4
nothing
of the
since
latest
2006.
of the last 4 premiership winning teams. We're one of them. And in the last 10 years, there have been 4 successful teams: the Sharks, the Roosters, the Storm, and the Panthers. So we're the 4th best team in that. Where have the Broncos been? Oh, that's right. Ben Hunt dropped the ball off the kickoff. That's right. How's that going? How's that
Too
working for you?
soon.
You can't even.
Anyway.
I want to know, is
all
it
right.
B and Bane or is it Band Bane? I'm pretty sure it's Band Bane.
I reckon it's got to be B and Bain, isn't it?
Band Bane.
Band Bane, let
Bane?
us know what it is, buddy. But yeah, there's certainly
the view.
that narrative from the press about not being able to win finals matches. So that could be what you're referring to. I think small steps, baby steps, we're getting better and better. At least we're contesting. We did win a finals match last year. Let's go one better this year and then one again the next.
Nah, just go all the way this year. The criticism has been correct. The criticism has been right. We haven't won, and even the win over the Cowboys last year, that was almost thrown away. The criticism is warranted, and they need to prove they're a big game team. They haven't chosen, haven't shown that they're a big game team yet consistently.
There we go. Van Bain's confirming it's Ban Bain.
Thank you.
No, why did you remind me? I didn't mean to upset you. Yeah, sorry about that, Ben Hunt.
Harsh.
This is what I think. I'll give you my answer, B and B. I was thinking about this today. It's B and B.
He just corrected his name and he just changed it again.
Well, that's all right. Sorry, B and B. I've just given him a nickname already.
Bane.
Here's my take on it. I think the Sharks can beat the Bulldogs. If we were in a prelim final, I think we would beat the Bulldogs because our big forwards would be able to get over the top of them the way that the Raiders did. I think we have sufficiently improved to the point against the Panthers. So over the last 3 matches, we have been bridging that gap between them and dropped. We had some bad moments in Las Vegas. I think if we played them in a prelim final now, we could beat them. I think we would beat the Broncos. I think we would beat pretty much everyone else. Just we're not beating the Storm. So if we come up against the Storm in the prelim, we'll get knocked out. We could easily lose to them. 9 years later in the rematch of the 2016, which might be a fitting one. I can see that being the way that the Sharkies lose this season is to be the Melbourne Storm is what I think will happen. So hopefully that answered your question, B&B. And mate, if you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button and throw us a $7,000 super chat and we'll love you forever.
If someone does a super chat, Boldo can read the other fun fact.
Oh, if someone does a super chat, which no one's done. So there we go. All right. Now, we will be back post full time with the debrief. And we're going to have the comments competitions going to be back on, Saturday night as well. So the return of the comments competition to win a Displayware unit from Simon at Displayware. And then other than that, we've got a whole bunch of stuff. This episode's gone on way too long. It's always a pleasure bringing this to you guys. Up, Cronulla. We'll see you guys soon. Go the Sharks.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.